Hey guys, this is Dardamos with Dardamos Dominions. I'm in with a couple guys again. Say hi, Gaslov, our van player.
Hello, everybody.
Grippa, how are you doing, dude?
Yellow, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well. Your bike sounds a little bit better this time. Mandar, how are you doing, dude?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and then Perun, how are you doing, dude?
Yeah, great. Always happy to be here.
Vanheim, do you want to read your message?
So Ulm's moves have been pretty difficult to predict, which have really paid off for him. But I think the reason for that is because Ulm doesn't really have a strategy, which explains some of the incredibly irrational movements. Or maybe he's a genius, who knows? I do know that with the Scalarian offensive against him, that's the end of the Ulm offensive. I guess it's going to be back to fighting Ermor, but this time I finally have full-sized elementals. Research has been incredibly slow thanks to all these invaders, but I think I might get a very short breather to fix that in a bit.
Okay, so
Full-sized air elementals. That's really nice. Good turn for you.
What's really interesting is like our earlier episodes, we kind of went more to a podcast, or like an open chat channel, because a lot of the turns were just 2 or 3 fights. But I do believe, guys, that we have gotten to a point where we can talk all the time about the battles, because this is nuts. This is what I wanted from the very beginning. Satis has invaded, and they've hit 6 PD with 171 troops. Scalaria has raided once more with their war elephants. Vanheim is doing a counter raid. Scalaria is moving forward with their second stack. Van met Scalaria's forces, so we have a bump, which is really interesting. I do want to go over that real quick. Later, Ermor has once again gone on the offensive, yet they're lacking in lictors. Ulm has, I don't know what they're doing here, but it looks like this looks like the remnants of their army. The heroine, once again, is fighting Van. And what's interesting is I do want to note that Ulm is attacking Vanheim as Scalaria is marching through their territory. Ulm is once again hitting Vanheim. Satis, this is a second army. Vanheim is counter-raiding. Pangea is attacking Ermor while they're still at war with Marignan. And of note, last turn we did not see any Pangean attacks, and the one before I don't think we saw one as well. Ulm is counter-raiding. Scalaria looks like they did their, they assaulted the fort. So, let's start from the top of it really quickly. Vanheim, how surprised were you that Statist attacked?
I saw his forces coming. I was really sad that this was going to happen. But, I guess I wasn't too surprised.
The Lizard Strike.
Just a question. You took a long time to finally pick a target and attack, Grippa. Was it indecision or was it preparation?
A little bit of both. It was indecision between whether I was going to attack Vanheim or Marignan after seeing him getting his butt kicked by Pan, and maybe was thinking about just kind of pirating some of those provinces. Or Ulm. I was actually debating attacking Ulm as well. I didn't realize that... once I decided that I was going to go for either one of the 2 northern guys, I had to prepare and move everybody up north there. And it was actually pretty slow moving my forces up there. They're not the fastest movement speed or a map move. But once I wanted to attack them... I wanted to attack them maybe 4 turns ago. So it took me about that long to get my mages and stuff up for my cap.
We talked last time about the indecision that players have, and the fact that, sometimes players sit when they should be going forward and moving and attacking more. Do you think that you should have started this earlier? Do you think you should have picked another target? What was your, knowing what you know all the way to the end, which direction do you think that you should have gone in, or should you have gone earlier?
I think I shouldn't have worried about not having my mages with my army. That was why I had to wait an extra 2 turns, I think it was. was for my mages to really get up there too. Knowing now that I know that Van had legitimately nothing there, I was scared about Van having like some hidden, elves in those provinces that I would have had to fought. Like I was like, oh, there's no one there, but it's Van. Is that just because there's no one there because there's actually Van Jarls and stuff like that? So, hindsight, I could have attacked way earlier, but I didn't want to just waltz into some Vans and have them cut up 200 Falchineers.
Mandar, you were in the game that I was with, where I was playing Vanheim with Lucid, and one of the interesting things I found of that game was everybody was always paranoid that I had an army everywhere. How paranoid are you? Because I know there's a lot of it was like friendly banter and joking. How honestly scared are you going in against a Vanheim that you're going to, playing Minesweeper and you jump in and you hit that bomb? How scared are you of hitting that?
Not really that scared. Mostly because as a player, I tend to use lots and lots of really small, cheap raiding teams. And so, if I lose like 1 or 3 or 7 of those, whatever, I can just make more. But it is, if you've never played Van especially, it can be very scary because you don't actually know how much Van can have and where they can have it. And the fear of the unknown can be more scary. You can imagine it being worse than it actually is. And this kind of feeds back into what we were talking about an episode or 2 ago about real-life morale.
Perun, just a question. Have you played very much against elves? Perun, are you there, dude? Okay, I'm gonna move that over. Okay, Perun, what is your... Have you played much against elves?
I played against them. I haven't played as them.
Okay, how scared are you of the elvish threat?
Okay, instinctively, very. But the check you have to have is, remember, they're facing all the same problems in their game that you are. Elves are at their most dangerous if you are their target and they have spent multiple turns setting up on you. But if you are not their target, they're probably setting up all their stuff somewhere else, and you have an opening. So I'm not that scared of elves, but I'm still aware that if I become their target, they're incredibly dangerous.
Gaslov, I want to touch on this really quickly before we move on this subject. Because you play a lot of elvish nations, and I make a lot of games, and some of the requests that I get from new players is that we ban all elves. Do you think that they're ban-worthy?
I'll just pick Pangea. Or if we're an EA, I'll pick EA Ulm. I mean, I will pick any nation that can do elves better than elves. And I don't really even understand the hate that, like, MA Vanheim is kind of a lower tier nation. I mean, anything MA Vanheim can do, Pangea can do better. The only raiders you can get from Vanheim is from their capital. Except, once you get to construction 6, you can start making really good Vanjarls. But like Pangea, they can make raiders, stealthy raiders from any fort they have. They have chaff that they can later buff up with earth spells. They have, honestly, just superior armies. Einheers are really good, but they are really, really expensive for what you're getting. I mean, they're 25 gold and like 31 recruitment points. I mean, you just can't make a lot of them.
Agrippa, what is your objective in this war? Are you going to Van's cap, or are you, like, is it a limited war?
I want everything that was once Ashdod. It was my goal. So basically everything up to that farmland large province with that castle at the end of the lake there to the north, everything there and west I wanted.
Gaslov, as a follow-up to that, because you're the Vanheim player, what would you be willing to give him in order to go to peace?
Well, I mean, at this point, I'm boned, right? Because he's eating the income I need to fight back Ermor's third wave. And the problem is, so if and when I lose against Ermor, I cannot recover because I don't have any money.
So would you be willing to give peace a chance, or would you just be like, I'm fighting to the end and let the world burn?
Well, I didn't even fight Satis, right? I mean, I just let him have everything he attacked. I mean,
It was a great war. Great war.
I had no resources to send down there.
Perun, if you're in Vanheim's situation, is there anything you can do in this case? I mean, like, Satis is pretty much unopposed.
Yeah, okay, so you probably have to give Satis what they're after at this point, but you'd be sounding the alarm on the other things that Satis should be worried about in the hopes that they will do so. If you want to try and keep that land, you can point out that what you're doing with your resources is fighting Ermor, who everyone should always be happy is being fought. I think there's a lot of Diplo that needs to happen with Ulm right now, mostly along the lines of, what on earth are you doing? You are being invaded by someone who is like going to run over all of us. Why are we fighting? Go home.
Okay, so let's move on to the later ones, or to the next battles. Real quick, Black Occults sitting in the middle of nowhere. What are they doing here? Mandar, what are they doing here?
What are those sitting in the middle of nowhere?
Just random H1s.
Oh, probably preaching.
Why?
If I had to guess. Fantastic question. They might be there. They might be moving to block to priest smite Scalarian skeletons. I can't think of a good use for them there.
Okay, so they're on the Ermorian border.
It's on the Ermor border. Yeah, they'll be holding back Ermor Dominion.
And I think what Mandar's getting at is still
border. Then yeah.
Would you keep these guys here, knowing that Scalaria is attacking?
Probably not, since they ended up dead, and they're not really useful when they're dead.
Okay. I mean, the other thing that's interesting about this is that we talked about, I think during the interim, where we talked about, while we're moving certain troops, we put them on retreat. Why do you think, in a little critique, but why do you think that these priests aren't set on retreat, Grippa?
Probably just didn't think about it. He probably should have, but he might not. He might just be like, I need to preach over here, sent the guys out, told them to preach, and that was it. Never actually scripted them.
Okay, I wanna get like a general consensus here. How many of you guys script every priest that's preaching, every site searching guy that's out site searching to retreat? Gaslov, do you do it?
I script my site searches to retreat.
Grippa.
And obviously,
okay, go, sorry. Okay, so fluffers. Okay, Grippa, what do you do?
I try to. Any site searchers, I definitely do. A priest out there preaching, I might have forgotten about it.
Okay, Mandar.
Pretty much neither priests preaching nor site searchers.
Good to know.
Maybe like 5% of the time I'll bother.
Okay, Novell, what's your thoughts, dude?
I normally don't have this issue because undead can't preach, but I do always script my site searchers to retreat.
Okay, in the 2 games that you play as a non-undead nation, so you set them to retreat?
Yes, and I also leave them a bodyguard.
Okay, how many games have you played with a non-undead nation, by the way?
4.
Okay. So you're pretty meticulous about telling them to retreat?
Yeah, I mean, they're living, so they're valuable.
Perun, what's your ratio of retreat to not retreat? Perun, you there?
I should, but yeah, I'm here. I don't know why I'm quiet. Mages, yes. Priests, holy ones, probably not.
Yeah, it's really interesting because this is one of the things that I'm pretty meticulous about. I go through and I make sure everything's on retreat. My problem is that after I set them to retreat, I forget to set them back to normal. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Where's this big army? So he has attacked in this direction, which is a really interesting direction. I mean, what is up with this direction? Why is he going this way? Mandar, I'm gonna give you this one. Why isn't he going to, like, for the throat and just taking out Ulm? Why is he going in this direction?
He might be going to vulture some of Vanheim. He could also be trying to just sort of avoid Ulm's armies, and since he can outraid them, he can out-economy Ulm. That's a possibility, too.
I like the idea that he's going and getting, and vulturing this. Why is he not scared of attacking? I mean, at this point, he's going to war with Ulm, he's going to war with Vanheim at the same time. How scared are you of attacking into a 2v1? Perun, let's throw this one to you.
It can often be a really good idea, and especially when both sides are exhausted, because it means you can take a lot very quickly. It also means that because they're both having to deal with you, neither are likely to get a chance to take a breather as pressure from the other is taken off. So if I focused just on Ulm and did nothing against Vanheim, maybe Vanheim would get a breather as Ulm let up on the Vanheim front. There's a danger that they make peace, which is what they probably should do. But I'm not worried about attacking into a 2v1 if the total amount of material that I'll be facing is not greater than if I was attacking one player that was large, for example.
Okay, I want to tangent real quick because I often forget questions later, and I really wanted to ask this question last time, and we went into it a little bit earlier with Vanheim, and I think we actually lost it. Novell, what would it have taken for you to go to peace? Would you have taken a settled peace?
In this game, no. But normally, yes. So, I can always generally be bought off as Aramor to cease from attacking someone, just because that amount of gold is always going to be more valuable than, like, slowly fighting for your land. But in this one regard, when dealing with Vanheim, I'm not here looking for gold, and I'm not here looking for land. I am literally out here attacking for death sites. So there was really no way I was going to stop attacking him. Not without, like, someone passing me some serious information about a place where I can go and find more. But, you know, that's a dime a dozen.
So theoretically, he offers you this one, Van, what were you offering for peace? What was it that you were saying?
Well, like I said, we never even got to the negotiation table.
Well, let's theoretically let's go and say that we're at the negotiation table right now. What would you have offered him?
Yeah, I would have been happy to offer him everything except the forts there.
Okay, so this fort line and then cap circle.
Yeah, because not my cap circle either.
Perun, what would you have done as the Van player to have tried to get or Aramor to the negotiating table? What would you have given him?
Well, you got to find out what he wants first. If what he wants is death sites, then the problem is your only death site that I think you're aware of is in a fort, which is a red line for you, which is a problem. So it becomes a case of if he's like, all I want is this death site and the war's over, give him the gems.
That's really tough because I need that throne to win, right? And it's part of my plan to win is capturing that throne, and that would cut me off.
Give him the gems.
That's my suggestion.
But at the time, I didn't know he was going to win that last fight. You know, so I still thought I had a chance against him.
Novell, how many death gems would it have taken to have ended this war?
In the beginning, not many at all, actually. Like 20 would have set me off just fine to go and do something else for the rest of the game. But right around when I would have found that acceptable, which was one of those high casualty fights that we had over one of the forts, good old RCK reached out as me, the Scalaria player, and just offered me way more than that. So I was like, there was no way I was not ramming into it at this point, because now I had gotten paid to try to take the death site.
How much was he giving you, by the way?
Well, he opened up the initial bid with 40 death gems, and I was like, that's way more than I was going to sue for peace for Van. And that was way more than what I had effectively lost, actually. And he followed it up with, I think, probably 2,000, almost 3,000 gold.
Holy crap. Look how many death gems he's got, dude.
It's a fantastic move by Scaleria. It's a fantastic move by Scaleria because it's a very, very cheap way to keep another war burning.
2. This is 3. This is absurd. He's got 5, 6. He's got death gems everywhere. He's got 7 death income in like 10 provinces.
I think he got my start. Because like I said, I didn't get any.
Yeah, Novell, I had a death income of 2. You could have taken all that death from him.
Well, see, here's the issue, right? Is that Aramor is really poor at scouting, and I didn't get any indie scouts. The only time I had indie scouts is when I took that fort from you, and I finally was able to start building them. So my information system was non-existent.
What I love of this, like, you're in an omniscience game, we get to talk to all of you guys, and we actually get to see that this was a huge diplomatic win by the Scaleria, who did an active move in order to influence the game that benefited them. It's really interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, if I had knowledge that sitting over there via Scaleria was more death gems than I could ever imagine, I would have, first off, not even bothered with Van. Our border was fine as it was. I would have actually have taken that throne and moved through that throne and just bum rushed Scaleria turn after turn after turn. Eventually, once I had built up enough forces, I actually would have went into the water on the opposite side and marched that way as well. Because I can trade more efficiently against skeletons until he gets the ability to buff his skeletons beyond what I can fight.
Oh, and speaking of which, you might want to see this score graph. That one below is yours. Scaleria has taken off.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, Scaleria will beat me as long as I don't have gold. Like, that's just simply the way it is. But Scaleria loses to me if Aramor manages somehow to get a gold income. Like, if Aramor takes, like, thrones that give gold, or he gets, like, hidden gold sites, something that keeps gold despite the province being absolutely dead, Aramor will always outscale Scaleria because every priest that Aramor recruits is a Scalarian cultist. Like, I don't know if you can see inside any of my forts, but there are actually priests in those forts doing the exact same thing that Scaleria does.
Okay.
These are just generic enemy priests.
Let's move on to the next fights real quick. Let's see. Okay, so that was the bump. That's the nothing. Okay, so real quick, I want to see where this is because I believe that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, right. It doesn't make sense. He's not getting anything. He's not getting money or anything from this. Like, why is he doing this?
Morale.
Oh.
Yeah, I had no idea this was happening to begin with. I was just like, I eventually get over here and see a group of Almish units, and I can't figure out why or where Alm is, because, like, I know Alm's on one of my borders, but I only have a 1-province border with him. Like, or, no, it's 2 provinces for most of the game. I'm sitting there like, was he further out than I thought he was? Like, I didn't know where Alm's capital was. So when I finally got down here and like saw an Amish army, I'm like, where the hell is he?
And he just pestilence his entire army down here too. Okay.
Yeah, what blows my mind is he stops his army there on top of the pest, and he leaves them there.
Okay, so
I did not expect that.
I mean, when you have a Scalarian army attacking you, you should probably pull your troops back home. When you have 3 Scalarian armies attacking you, you should really pull your armies back home. And I believe that this is the turn that one of you reaches out to each other and says, hey, maybe we should stop killing each other. Who was it? Was it you that reached out to him, or was it him that reached out to you?
Well, I think he actually reached out to me. I mean, because, he's the one who started the war. It's going to be up to him to stop it.
This is nuts. Okay, Mandar, how often do you do spite moves like this?
In this case, I wouldn't do it. How often I do it is, I don't know, about half the time that I lose a game, or half the time that I get knocked out of a game. But something like this is very spiteful. Could pull back and actually survive this, but instead it looks like they're committing suicide when they really don't need to.
How often do you, like, when you do a spite move, is it exclusively when you cannot win anymore, or is it, like, do you do it just occasionally?
Oh, it's when I can't win and I can't even come close to winning. It's like, if you're sitting on my last 3 forts, looks like I'm going to Bane Venom Charm my forts. That sort of a thing.
Okay, so let's move on to the next. That's rich. Okay, so the Heron's at it again. We got a raid. Okay, trying to get through to the. I know there's another fight. Okay, farm. I want this one. Why is Pan down here when he could be raiding up here? This is a zero income site. Grippa, I want you to, Grippa, I want you to take this one. Do you think that this is a good move, helping out with the War of Airmore, or do you think that it's where do you think about this one?
I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to accomplish much. It's a very tiny amount to take from him. I would be rather focusing on getting Marignung out of this as fast as possible, because I presume that at this point I'm certain Mary said that it's a fight to the death. In which case you have to treat it the same. In which case I would finally knock him out. Like, you're not accomplishing much taking that small province.
What's interesting of this whole deal is that we've been watching, and I think the last 3 turns he may have taken this fort, but like there's not even a battle here, so it had to have been maybe last turn or the turn before. I mean, how often when you're, because Pan is absolutely winning this fight. Let's ask this to Gaslov, because you're uninvolved in this fight. I don't know how much you knew about this. When you're winning, how or why would you pause like this?
I'm unsure. Because Pangea seemed to be kicking the crap out of Mirion and then just stalling. Like, I don't really know what these guys were doing. And that's usually really bad for both players, because you don't ever want your wars to drag on and on and on. And that's what they were doing. They're just dragging it out needlessly.
Yeah, they really could have gone in for the kill there in a couple of different ways. And it seems like they're just sort of sitting there in Marignon's. Is that their cap circle?
This is cap circle right here.
Yeah, they're just chilling out there when they could be doing things.
And I think it goes back to like what we were talking about, where you need to have the like it seems like that he should be out raiding rather than sitting on a fort and taking it, sitting on a fort and taking it. I think that these are free provinces. He's losing out on, oh my goodness, 121 gold. He could be getting another 400 or 200 gold from these 3 provinces, and instead he's pausing.
On top of that, I would like to shame Grippa, Satis, for not vulturing all of this. Like, I see some pretty sizable armies there on Marignon's border. Grippa, why were you not stealing this?
Pan was basically saying, Mary is mine, and if you vulture, I will fight you. Also, again, I was still scared of invisible elves, so I wanted all the troops up north.
I want to. Can I pass this over to Perun real quick? Perun, you have Pan over here, and he says Marignon is mine, and I will attack you if you vulture. How serious do you take that?
Depends how much information I have, but to be honest, I think my usual response would be something like, really, you're going to start a war over 2 provinces? Like, really? And then take from what they say back, because you get a sense of players pretty quickly. Are they the ones to make bluffs or not? And there are players in this game who bluff all the time, and there are players who do not bluff. And I don't know where they fall.
Let me preface this by saying that the Pan player is the same player who was the Abyssia in the Blitz with Lucid in the Sorrow game, who spent his entire game trying to take my cap until we killed each other. So I was not interested in doing that with him a second time.
I love that there's like previous history, and you're like, well, remember this last game that I played with him where he did A, B, and C. And I like to note that you're not playing against a nation alone. You're also playing a nation that's being controlled by a player. Mandar, I want to get your idea. Somebody comes up to you and says, if you vulture even one province, I'm gonna take it personally, go to war with you. Do you take it seriously?
I mean, they might be telling the truth, they might not. And depending on how well I think I can take them, I might just be like, hey, go for it, buddy. Let's see. And, if they attack me, I just beat them up. And if they're bigger than me, then I might not call their bluff like that. But, do the Perun thing.
Crypt, do you have vision on any of this?
I did not have any scouts that was anything further than the 2 provinces in from there. So that province there, that one right there, yep, that one there is the last one I had a scout in. So I saw that Pan was around his cap, and I'm like, they're strolling through. Not going to deal with that.
Were you afraid that if you did come in here, that Marignan might be like, well, if you're gonna vulture, then I'm going to attack you for vulturing?
I just didn't want to have to deal with it. I was like, you know what, whatever, fine. It was 2 provinces, and like, you're going to start a war for 2 provinces. Well, I was in that same mindset of, I'm not going to deal with them for those 2 provinces when I have all of Ashdod to get. And I want to sprint through this as fast as possible, so I'm just going to push north.
Novell, let's say that theoretically Satis attacks Marignan. You're playing as Marignan. Do you attack the bigger threat that'll probably eat you anyways, or do you attack the guy who's vulturing?
Let's see here. If I was going to lose lands to Satis suddenly attacking because he sees me on the back foot against Pan, I think that the most efficient option would be to focus on defending my cap circle from Pan and dragging Satis into a conflict against Pan, especially if the lands he's vulturing allows him access to Pan.
Excellent. Okay, so let's move on to the... is that it for the turn? Oh no, we have the big fight. We want to watch this one. Okay, so we're asking what magics does Scalaria have? Okay, so I need you guys to help me out with this. If you see anything of it worth, let me know.
They have discovered communions. That's a problem for me.
Okay, so we got Legions of Steel on Ulm's side. Blizzard, they have Iron Blizzard up now.
Ulm just doesn't have enough chaff here.
I think they got surprised. This is the first hit that... Oh, good. We missed something.
Ooh, Flight of the Skeleton. Da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na.
What's funny is they actually have Valkyries, and yet, when you hear the Flight of the Valkyries as Scalaria, you don't think of the Valkyrie units. You think of the skeletons.
Nope.
They don't have Valkyrie units. Valkyrie is EA Helheim.
I thought they had Valkyries. What is
Helheim has it, and maybe Vanheim.
I thought you meant they exist in the game. Yeah, they exist in the game.
Vanheim has Valkyries, but you'll never build them.
What are these? Oh no, they're Shadow Vestals. Okay, they're not Valkyries.
Yeah,
okay.
Valkyries are actually floating on their little sprite.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. They're the Vikings. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, but Real quick, why is mass? I mean, never mind. I probably should be asking. You know, the viewers are probably know the answer to this. Why is mass flight such a big target? Why would you pick this? I mean, it's really, really deep, right?
Yeah, it's enchantment 7.
Why would you pick enchantment 7 over something else, Gaslov?
Well, he's got a lot of things up in enchantment anyhow, right? You've got enchantment 5, which is going to be a goal of Scaleria. And then you want mass flight because the most common counter to him is earthquake. Now, I think we talked about earlier about how Olm can earthquake, but I think he still has to summon earth power to do it. And so I really believe, even with communion, you can get mass flight up sooner than Olm can earthquake you.
What was it?
Olm with boots of the earth equipped can earthquake on turn 1 by just spending additional gems.
You need an earth random, but yeah. What is when you were saying enchantment 5? What were you? Why is this a goal?
Oh, it's for your horde of skeletons.
Oh, okay. So you cast more skeletons on top of skeletons.
Yeah, you can never have enough. Can never have enough skeletons, you know.
Well, there are 3 things there that matter actually. 4 potentially. Horde of skeletons number 1. Dispel number 2, because certain globals are very detrimental to Scaleria. All of Scaleria's build-up. Yeah.
Which one?
Dispel, the ritual dispel.
Oh no! What was the? I'm sorry. What were you saying? What was the one that you want to dispel?
Oh, Purgatory.
Purgatory. Okay.
Scaleria. You know, like Purgatory turns off the entire skeleton army.
You want to dispel Vengeful Waters as Scaleria.
Otherwise, Vengeful Waters too.
Bad time.
Okay, so there's some of those that are okay. So we want dispel, we want horde of skeletons, and what was the other one?
You want the wards because it's almost impossible to turn your skeletons into something that can survive mass evocation. So, like Firestorm completely destroys all your skeletons. Flame Ward helps with that.
Mandar, do we see foul vapors come out of Scaleria?
That would be a tough one unless they got Jade Amazons. If they do get Jade Amazons, you can expect them to cast foul vapors in every fight.
Okay, so it could be a key.
It tends to depend on if they took poison res in their bless. If they did take poison res in their bless, then it can also come from their pretender.
Gaslov, is Scaleria a rigor mortis? Do they play for rigor mortis?
See, I don't think so, because I still think that you're going to want to cast your astral spells, your mind burn and soul slay. But I think that might be an unpopular opinion.
Mandar, what's the difference between a rigor mortis play, like a rigor mortis strat? Like, why would you take rigor mortis and why would you not do rigor mortis?
Rigor mortis tires everyone out, at least everyone alive, if they fail an MR check. This means it is very good at tiring out troops, does nothing to skeletons, and it kind of tires out mages. As Scaleria, do you want to cast Rigor Mortis? My answer to that is, does the Pope have a big hat? It tires out enemy troops so that your skeletons can beat them up with the fatigue differential and the critical hits and the enemies not being able to return fire because they're passed out. It knocks out enemy mages, and it's not too bad for your mages because you can use communions to take care of most of the fatigue. And, you might blow up a few communion slaves, but you're also going to be casting a lot more spells.
One of my favorite things about Rigor Mortis is the fact that you can suicide an army against an unkillable unit. If you have Rigor Mortis up and the Rigor Mortis caster is sitting on the board on the very end, he will sit there forever, and the unit, like, take for instance, like a pretender that is not a very killy pretender, but is like a statue or something like that. You can have rigor mortis, and all of your units will sit there. His statue will sit there, and at the end, both sides die.
You don't even need rigor mortis, or you need rigor mortis for that, but you don't need an entire army to do the suiciding. You can just use like a soul contract or a couple of amulets of the dead.
I didn't even think about that. That's very true. So,
Yeah,
like,
any of the auto cast summon items will solve that issue.
Oh, and Howl. Howl works wonderful.
Howl would be wonderful. I've seen a lot of really cool rigor mortis Howl combos where you get a whole bunch of wolves. They surround the bad guy, and then they go unconscious. Because one of the things that when a wolf hits like a fire shield, it will die. But if they're unconscious, they don't hit the fire shield, but then they fall asleep, and they're literally there just to block and make sure that other unit can't get off the map.
Yep, right until the turn timer when everybody explodes.
Exactly.
You can also mimic this with Growing Fury, which just sets all of the wolves berserk.
Okay, guys. Well, I think that's going to end us for today. Gaslov, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate your perspective. I've been trying to get you back on here, and I'm glad we accomplished that.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Our Satis player, Grippa, good to see you. You have rolled out, and you're starting to look really good, dude.
Satis is doing things.
Mandar, thanks for your expertise. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Novell, as always, I'm really excited to get some of your non-Airmore opinions, because it's kind of interesting to see how you take your Airmorian advice and you apply it to other things. That's really cool, dude.
Thank you so much.
Perun, thanks again for joining us. I love your diplomatic, because I think that in this game has been a wonderful example of how diplomacy can cause advantages in the game. And I think. Are you there, dude?
Thanks, mate. It's been good to be here.
Okay, there we go.
Okay,
guys.
Yeah, I'm here. I
Like
said
a
thanks,
ping
mate.
of
It's good to
about
be here.
5 seconds.
Oh, we got a bit of a delay, which is okay because we are at the end. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.